Part 101. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1001. In the bushes, an animal with only one horn on its head, which looked like a sika deer, was leisurely chewing leaves among the thorns. Unconsciously, it was a little far away from the group. Suddenly, it seemed to hear something, and the sika deer with one horn stood up and looked around vigilantly. It was quiet. Only a few insects flew by. After a while, it seemed that there was no danger, so it lowered its head and continued to eat. As a herbivore, it eats quite a lot. With a plop, the whole body was thrown into the thorns, and a ferocious beast like a saber-toothed tiger pressed it under it. With a bite, the sharp saber teeth pierced the neck of the fawn, and blood gushed out. The tiger's claws held the sika deer firmly. The fawn struggled hard for less than half a minute, and its body straightened up and died. The same tribe that had been scared away and ran away, just looked at it vigilantly for a few times, and then went to eat leaves again. The saber-toothed tiger wasted no time trying to drag its prey out of the thorn bush. Although its limbs and head were protected by keratin, its body was not, so it could not stay in the thorn bush for too long. However, a few whistles interrupted its movements, and it listened carefully, and found that the whistles not only did not stop, but were getting closer and closer. Hearing the number of sounds, it knew that it was outnumbered, and the saber-toothed tiger made a prompt decision, abandoned its prey, and quickly climbed up a nearby tree. It had just landed on a branch, and swoosh, swoosh, swoosh 5 or 6 velociraptor-like creatures had rushed out. Some of them immediately spotted the saber-toothed tiger on the tree and howled at it a few times. Seeing this, the saber-toothed tiger knew that it was completely hopeless, so it jumped to a distant place for strategic transfer. The velociraptor's skin was tougher, and they quickly pulled the one-horned sika deer out of the thorn bush and began to feast on it. Above them, small pterosaur-like creatures waiting to be eaten and flying birds similar to goshawks gradually appeared. This world seemed to have sent the dinosaurs of the Jurassic period and some other ancient creatures to the mammalian age of the Tertiary period. Dragons and beasts compete for supremacy on the surface of this planet. In space, pterosaurs and birds, descendants of dinosaurs, compete for supremacy. However, these creatures are only somewhat similar to the creatures on Pangu star in appearance. In detail, they have different evolutionary routes. This is the third planet of the Yellow Emperor Galaxy, the colony planet of the New Han Kingdom, Quafu. Suddenly, a huge sound of breaking through the air came from above, scaring the flying creatures passing by to flee in all directions. The animals on the ground also looked up. I saw a rectangular metal flying object descending from the clouds. Immediately afterwards, several and dozens of similar flying objects also rushed out of the clouds, as if they had smashed the clouds apart. At this moment, what broke through the sky was the entire transport ship of the 9th Wave Detachment of the New Han Kingdom's Yanhuang Rise Plan. On the ground is the base of the New Han Kingdom on Quafu Star, and a large area has been prepared for the transport ships to land. There are a total of 73 transport ships in this batch, of which 60 are wooden bull-type transport ships, which are mainly used to carry people. Each transport ship has a team of 60 reserve soldiers and about 10 active soldiers, including team leaders, instructors, as well as spacecraft pilots, maintenance personnel, military police and other different arms. There are also 13 Lyama-type transport ships, which are used for cargo. There are only a few military replicas in them, and the rest are supplies needed in the camp. Several warships, that is, destroyers, did not land together. For the time being, the New Han Kingdom has not yet built a space battleship that can land and take off on the surface of a planet at will. The operation of takeoff and landing is too energy-consuming, so only a few of the New Han Kingdom's spaceships currently have these functions. Almost all space battleships are built in space. Specifically, they are built in the space base in the asteroid belt. They don't need to take off, and they will never land in the future. they will probably just float in space like that. Similarly, all transport ships are actually built in space. They also don't have the ability to take off from the surface of the planet. After this landing, they will stay in the camp on the surface of Quafu star forever. Occasionally, they can fly off the ground for a short period of time. The wooden ox-type transport ship will be directly used as the barracks and activity venues of each team, and the Lyama-type transport ship will naturally be used as a warehouse. Although the third cosmic speed to escape the gravity of the Sun is 16.7 km per second, it is about half higher than the 11.2 km per second to escape the gravity of Pangu star. However, to escape from Pangu star, the spacecraft needs to accelerate to this speed in a short time. And the path to escape from the solar system is too long, and the spacecraft has plenty of time to accelerate. If necessary, the gravitational slingshot effect of the massive planet can be used to reach the escape speed without any problem. There are more than 200 soldiers from the New Han Kingdom in the camp below, and more than 100 people are standing in the distance, looking up at the landing process of the 9th detachment. Unfortunately, such a spectacular scene is not allowed to be viewed by members of the dispatch team, because the landing process is still dangerous. Once the replica is in trouble, the team members will not die, but the unexpected disconnection will have a great impact on their spirit. Therefore, for safety reasons, except for the pilot and co-pilot of the spacecraft, all personnel are required to hide in the hibernation chamber and are not allowed to go online. Once the transport ship has an accident, the hibernation chamber can provide an extra layer of protection. Talent is the most scarce resource in the camp. Xiaoming naturally cannot go online. In fact, if he is in the dispatch team, with Xiaoming's ability, he can completely protect everyone to land safely. Unfortunately, such words cannot be said. In desperation, Xiaoming had to watch from a distance. Did Xiaoming arrange a clone in the dispatch team? No, all the actions of Xiaoming's clone in the transport ship were monitored, and he did not want to be exposed. At this moment, Xiaoming was driving a Protoss Scout stealth spacecraft and observing the entire landing process from a distance. The body of Hong Xiaoming in the spacecraft is also a Protoss body. He is about 2 meters tall and has gray-blue skin. The body is roughly similar to that of humans. The head is slightly narrow and long, and the legs are similar in shape to the hind legs of wild beasts such as tigers and wolves. Suitable for running. This Protoss body is my master Acha, who used the infinite gloves to realize Xiaoming's wish. Xiaoming's initial wish was not this, but after he made several wishes that could not be fulfilled, Acha was very angry. He was given one last chance to make a wish. Xiaoming suddenly had an idea and proposed to make a Protoss body for Hong Xiaoming. The wish came true. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1002. Xiaoming has seen the gloves of my lord Acha. The little light he provided was really not much, and the wishes that could be fulfilled were also strictly limited. Things like this kind of wishing machine have to be strictly restricted in the reincarnation space. Therefore, when fulfilling wishes, they often take shortcuts. Try to save source energy. Xiaoming learned that most of the original source energy he emitted in the underworld was used to build his own underworld, and a little bit was intercepted by Acha's infinite gloves. He thought it was good. Not all energies can be mixed into the construction of the underworld. His own source energy can be added to it, which must be a help. In addition, Acha gave Xiaoming a chance to make a wish, and her meaning was also very clear. It was nothing more than hoping to continue to obtain the original source energy from Xiaoming and replenish the gems on the infinite gloves. The two of them agreed that whoever saw it would have a share. Xiaoming got 1/4 of the ability of the infinite gloves to make wishes. Considering the strength comparison between the two sides, the proportion that could be given to Xiaoming was already quite high. My lord Acha is still quite kind. Xiaoming could actually see that Acha did not try to hide it. She must have a big wish deep in her heart that she wanted to fulfill, and it was estimated that she would need to accumulate a lot of source energy to do so. Forget it, there is no need to speculate on the thoughts of such a senior. Just do your own thing obediently. As for how Xiaoming will enter the reincarnation space again in the future, it is actually very simple. The reincarnation space will summon all the souls and bodies of the reincarnated. The civil servants in the underworld just need to let the souls living in the underworld come out. However, so far, the soul gem has not completely completed the transformation of Xiaoming's clone and the underworld, so Xiaoming must have at least one soul living in the underworld for a long time. After the transformation is completed, Xiaoming's soul can leave the underworld, and there will be no obstacles to entering the reincarnation space again. His situation can be said to be quite special. Generally, the interview, employment and transformation of civil servants in the underworld do not take such a long time. The first ghost messenger clone is also easy. The soul gem will generally make the first clone based on the original body of the civil servant, and it will not take too long. Moreover, there are few people like Xiaoming who actually have 4 souls at the same time. Only 1 or 2 souls were sent to the interview, and the other souls were still doing what they should do. Even my master Acha praised him for this ability. The ghost messenger Zhao Li was even more envious. Let's talk about Hong Xiaoming. When the wish was successful, Hong Xiaoming obtained a body of the Protoss on the Quafa planet. He became the only living Protoss member. The only one left. So naturally, all the inheritance of the Protoss fell on him. From now on, the Protoss domain will no longer only have a visit opportunity once a day, but will be permanently open to Xiaoming. All the Protoss began to settle in Kunlun, and it seemed that the Protoss domain also took root in Kunlun with the Protoss. Just like the Zerg mist is the carrier of the Zerg spirit sea, the Protoss are actually the carrier of the Protoss domain. In the past, the bases of the Protoss and the Protoss domain were only in the Yellow Emperor galaxy, so their range of action was also limited here. Since Xiaoming became a god, Kunlun has been the base of the star spirits and the divine domain. After the divine domain is completely settled in Kunlun, the star spirits can go to any place that Xiaoming's soul can reach. Of course, at the beginning, only the star spirits near Quafu entered Kunlun, and the other star spirits were still on their way. Because most of them were in stealth mode, the new Han Kingdom's observation of the Yellow Emperor galaxy was far from perfect, and it did not discover this large-scale action of the star spirits at all. Xiaoming is no longer a blind cat colliding with a dead mouse in the Protoss divine domain. With the help of the star spirits, he can search for information as needed. A lot of relevant information was found later. For example, how did this body come from? You must know that there are no living gods in the universe that the infinite gauntlet can reach. 1.5 million years ago, the 3 tribes of humans, gods, and insects died together in the central area of the Yanhuang 3-star system. The last Protoss sky carrier drifted to the Yellow Emperor galaxy and crashed on the Quafa planet. All the Protoss in the spacecraft had naturally died in the battle. Their bodies had long since turned to ashes after 1.5 million years. However, some Protoss members who were seriously injured in the treatment cabin had their spirits killed. But their bodies were still being repaired and maintained by the treatment cabin. Of course, the energy stored in the sky carrier is limited and it is impossible to maintain it for 1.5 million years. The main reason why these bodies did not turn into ashes is because of the existence of the Protoss domain. The Protoss is a race with very high spiritual pursuits. They yearn for the sublimation of the soul. Therefore, almost all Protoss are masters of spiritual power. At the end of the war, the residual souls of some Protoss masters consumed their own souls and established the Protoss domain with the help of the power of the Mind Gem/Fuxi Qin. The main purpose is to preserve precious knowledge for the universe and retain some of the residual souls of the Protoss. They are also the first batch of Protoss. However, due to the needs of the divine domain, These star spirits have lost their memories of their previous lives. They are too closely connected to the Mind Stone and will not reincarnate again. They will protect the Protoss divine domain forever. In the Yellow Emperor galaxy, many intelligent life forms have had the opportunity to visit the Protoss domain. And if they can stick to their original intentions, they are likely to become part of the Protoss after death, devoting themselves to the great cause of preserving knowledge for the universe. In addition, the Protoss domain has a small branch goal, which is to revive the Protoss. So the Protoss shuttled through the Yellow Emperor galaxy, sometimes appearing and sometimes invisible. On the one hand, it was to give intelligent life the opportunity to contact the God's domain. On the other hand, it was also to find the life forms closest to the Protoss. So, they naturally found the Protoss corpses whose souls were dead but whose bodies were still maintained by the treatment cabin. The state of the Protoss is very special, and their IQ is not high. They regard the existence of these corpses as the best opportunity to revive the Protoss. So they have been searching for energy for the treatment cabin. It is not ordinary energy, but must be high-quality energy that can be transmitted through the God's domain and the Protoss. Coincidentally, Xiaoming's source energy is such energy. Therefore, all along, Xiaoming had been feeding the Protoss with most of the energy, which he had given to his current Protoss body. And it was precisely because he provided the high-quality energy that this body had a glimmer of hope and reached the threshold of being wish granted by the Infinity Gauntlet. The Protoss wish to revive the Protoss was unexpectedly fulfilled in Xiaoming. The cycle of cause and effect in this world is really amazing. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1003. This time, the resurrection of a Protoss body from 1.5 million years ago was successful. In addition to consuming source energy, the Infinite Gauntlet also consumed one of Xiaoming's stocks. From the world of My Date with a Zombie 2, one of the two 5-color divine stones given by the goddess Nuwa. Xiaoming kept the 5-color divine stone just as a thought, but he didn't expect that this thing would be so useful. After getting the body of the Protoss, Hong Xiaoming became the only Protoss at present. In order for the Protoss to prosper again, Hong Xiaoming must choose to work in the most basic profession of the Protoss, architect. The three cosmic races of alien gods and insects can be said to have their own merits in architecture. The human race's construction method is the construction method we are familiar with. All buildings are built with various materials mined from nature. The Zerg takes a different approach. They probably eat all kinds of materials into their stomachs. Then synthesize biological materials in the Zerg body. All buildings are born and alive. In terms of consumption, the Zerg and the human race are not much different. However, the biological materials of the Zerg are indeed of good quality and fast, so the development speed of the Zerg is difficult to match that of the human race. The Protoss is the most fairy race among the three races. The buildings of this race are actually transformed. Of course, the corresponding materials must be consumed. The whole process is like a sacrificial ceremony. The architects of the Protoss hold this ceremony, automatically sacrifice the corresponding materials, and summon the buildings of the Protoss. Of course, the buildings are not actually summoned. This process is actually a bit like the synthesis of the alchemist in the Magic Planet game. Synthesis consumes the alchemist's mana and materials to directly synthesize what is needed. The construction method of the Protoss is to consume the Protoss's mental power and materials to synthesize the buildings. Of course, the speed will be slightly slower. At the same time, the more complex the building, the longer it takes to synthesize. Due to different concepts, the styles of the buildings of the three races are also very different. The human race's buildings are mainly convenient for arrangement and movement. Most of them are rectangular or cube-shaped like containers, and most of them can fly. Zerg buildings are mainly good quality, cheap and practical. Most ground buildings are not moved after they are put down. If there is a need somewhere else, just build another one there. Protoss buildings are mainly beautiful and magnificent. Any Protoss building gives people a feeling of a temple. It is quite sacred. Speaking of which, the style of the Protoss is 30% similar to that of the elves, and the Zerg seems to have something in common with the orcs. Hong Xiaoming chose to build the first Protoss base in Kunlun. Why do you do this? After all, our Xiaoming has also played real-time strategy games. In any case, if the main base can be carried with you, this is a huge advantage. The first building Xiaoming chose is called Crystal Tower. It can generate a mental force field around itself. Most Protoss buildings must be near the Crystal Tower to function properly. It doesn't take long to synthesize the Crystal Tower. After about 1 hour, the Crystal Tower was built. In fact, it should consume some materials that Xiaoming does not have at present. However, since Hong Xiaoming chose to synthesize Protoss buildings in Kunlun, with its super strong foundation, directly met the demand for materials, and the construction time was actually greatly shortened. However, because Xiaoming had been doing Protoss construction in Kunlun for a long time, he did not realize this at all. Later, after obtaining more information about the Protoss, he felt strange. Why could he synthesize Protoss buildings without materials? Of course, not long after, he also guessed that it was probably related to Kunlun. The name of the Crystal Tower is the name given to it by the alien race, which is very appropriate. This building is a blue diamond crystal in the center, with some decorations and equipment around it. After the Crystal Tower is built, Xiaoming must continue to build according to the Protoss technology tree. So the second building is the main control center. The function is similar to the Zerg's mother nest. The main control center is a rare building that does not need a crystal tower to maintain it. It has its own energy supply system inside. It's just that the main control center takes more than a day to build. The time is too long, so Xiaoming chose to build the crystal tower first. The results can be seen quickly. In fact, the architects of the Protoss buildings are casual after the synthesis ceremony is completed. He can build multiple buildings at the same time, and does not need to wait until the previous building is completely completed. Unless the technology tree has such a requirement. Hong Xiaoming has just started, and he is not familiar with the operation, so he made a mistake. Of course, it doesn't matter if it takes an hour. In Kunlun, after completing the ceremony of the main control center, it was already September 3rd. Hong Xiaoming planned to go out and see the landing of the 9th dispatch team. The main purpose is to protect it. Although even if the landing fails, it has little to do with Xiaoming. But after all, he is also a citizen of the new Han Kingdom. He has been protected and nurtured by the motherland for many years, and it is good to be able to help. The Protoss sky carrier where Xiaoming is located only smashed a big hole in the ground when it fell. However, after 1.5 million years, the terrain nearby has changed a lot. Now the spacecraft is buried hundreds of meters underground. The surroundings were sealed tightly by mud and rocks. If it weren't for Xiaoming's mental scan that could penetrate the mud, he wouldn't have known that he was on the Quafa planet. After being buried for so many years, the spacecraft has been corroded beyond recognition. Only a few treatment cabins still have a small amount of energy supply. There are several withered Protoss corpses inside. These corpses may be useful in the future, and Xiaoming casually replenished the energy for the treatment cabin. In addition to the treatment cabin, the other equipment of the spacecraft has been damaged too seriously, and even the energy provided by Xiaoming cannot be accepted. Basically, this spacecraft has been scrapped. However, repairing scrap things is not Xiaoming's professional field of energy. Wait, Xiaoming has a better way. He took out the magic wand that Zhao Eng gave him that year, and used the magic repair as before on a random device. It really works. Repairing as before consumes much less energy for repairing equipment than directly using source energy. However, it may still take a long time to repair the entire sky carrier. So Xiaoming specially found the warehouse on the spacecraft. There are more than a dozen scrapped Protoss space fighters and several Protoss scout stealth reconnaissance aircraft. He used magic to repair a reconnaissance aircraft, opened a portal, and sent himself and the reconnaissance aircraft to the surface of Quafu Star. He used the scanning map to find the location of the New Han Kingdom's camp on Quafu Star and flew over in a stealth reconnaissance aircraft. He visited the entire process of the 9th Detachment's landing. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1004. The 9th wave of dispatch teams is a very important part of the rise of Yanhuang Plan. This was the first time reserves were introduced in large numbers. The new Han State Space Force has been preparing for this for more than 10 years, and basically there will be no accidents. Hong Xiaoming even discovered that there were 1 B-level and 3 C-level reincarnators in the camp on Quafu Star. They were not clones, but real humans. After thinking about it for a while, Xiaoming felt that it was understandable. At the beginning of the rise of Yanhuang Plan, New Han State should not have perfected the black technology of human cloning. The first few waves of dispatch teams were most likely sent out by real people. They must have made huge sacrifices to allow New Han to gain a firm foothold on Quafu Star. Without him, if you look closely, there are less than 10 real humans in the entire camp. The military must have sent more than this before. 80% of the remaining soldiers have died. Thinking of this, Xiaoming scanned the camp carefully. Sure enough, I saw a room of heroic spirits, with hundreds of small stone tablets enshrined in it. Xiaoming glanced at it, and it was engraved with name, position, date of birth and death, according to the Pangu calendar. The earliest victim died more than 100 years ago. In addition, there is a room with more than 10 treatment cabins. There were 7 or 8 seriously injured soldiers in the treatment cabin who were put into cryo-sleep state. They were all real people. Xiaoming was a little moved. These soldiers are the real warrior heroes. Regardless of his strength, he can easily crush these people. But compared to them, he is a coward. They face difficulties and move forward bravely even though they know that their lives are in high danger. On the contrary, he always hides in safe places and almost never takes any risks. Xiaoming knew that in his entire life, he would never be able to match the courage of these people who deserved admiration and love. Although he didn't intend to be such a person. But this does not prevent Xiaoming from paying high respect to them. In the Protoss stealth reconnaissance plane, a Protoss man raised his right hand and saluted a military salute in the direction of the camp. The landing process of the dispatch team can be said to be uneventful. Even if there was only 1% chance of causing a problem, Xiaoming quietly eliminated it. Some flying insects were driven away, the slight bumps in the airflow were smoothed out, several spacecraft seemed to have incorrect postures, and Xiaoming also corrected them to ensure that all spacecrafts landed safely. The whole process was extremely smooth, which surprised the pilots on the transport ship and the soldiers on the ground. They all lamented that they were so lucky this time. Xiaoming originally thought about continuing to observe the situation in the camp, but suddenly a thought came to his mind, and a picture appeared in his mind. At the door of Zhang Xiaoming and Pan Guxing's house, there was a girl crying, muttering "brother," the leader from time to time. It was none other than Li Songrui, the 9th lady of the Li family. Last time, Xiaoming asked his younger sister, Xiao Jing'er, to ask Miss 6 of the Li family about her situation. Only then was I told that little Loli was receiving special training from the family in a holy place of the Li family because she had been opened up by Xiaoming to have spiritual and magical powers. It's probably been more than a month now. Why did she show up at her door? It seems that the special training is over and the fruit rich in spiritual power has been eaten. This little girl finally thinks of herself. Xiaoming is actually a little heartless when he thinks this way. Yes, Li Songrui had just finished his special training, and he had already eaten all the fruit. But she took the initiative to come to Xiaoming's house to find him, not just for a few fruits. She really missed her leader brother. Although in terms of age, Jiang Xiaoming, who is now nearly 70 years old, is more than enough to be her grandfather. This time Jiang Xiaoming accepted an interview in the underworld, and the situation was special. Xiaoming neither arranged a clone in his home nor arranged for his subordinates to stay behind. Logically speaking, he should not know that Li Songrui came to see him. Being able to sense this is because Xiaoming has been undergoing transformation from the underworld for a long time, and his soul sensing ability is stronger. Besides, his true body is at home right now. Can sense what is happening around the body. This is just a drop in the bucket of the many benefits of being a civil servant in the underworld. The appearance of little Loli disrupted Xiaoming's original arrangement. The original plan was that Yin Xiaoming would continue to undergo transformation in the Soul Gem, Hong Xiaoming would develop the divine race on Quafu planet. Lu Xiaoming also accepted the teachings of Master Huan Hai in the private world. Every few hours, he also works as a repairman on Sheneng 2. Xiao Xiao Sheneng, and many of his followers are all in this villa. Children can now also observe Huan Hai's training. He has experienced 2 more reincarnation missions than Xiaoming. On Pangu Star, Zhu Xingxiu and other special forces are continuing to fight in the secret realm of Lian Chengju. Fluffy needs to keep the playhouse running for them. Huang Xiaoming is working hard to play games on the Sheneng 2, trying to clear the secret realm of the Legend of the Condor Heroes as soon as possible. Now, his character Nancy Ren has obtained Wu Mu's suicide note. He and Hong Mu were on their way back to the headquarters of the Beggar clan. Of course, this book must be given to Yang Taixin. However, Xiaoming also ordered his apprentice Mu Nianzi to copy a copy and prepare it for Guojing in the future. This book was hard-earned. A few days ago, Hong Qigong, the leader of the Beggar clan, Nan Ziren, the elder, and Mu Nianzi, the beloved disciple of the elder Nan, went to Taizang Peak to pay homage to the mountain. Soon after, flags were flying, drums and music were playing, and Chiu Qinren, the leader of the Iron Palm Gang, came to the mountain gate with important disciples to welcome the distinguished guests. Senior Hong, you have come to Iron Palm Peak. I am Chiu Qinren, the leader of the Iron Palm Gang, and I am here to greet you. In the martial arts world, relationships are complicated, and it is not easy to talk about seniority. There are often cases of seniority confusion. Generally, people are polite to each other when they meet. In the original novel, Wang Chuyi also called Sha Tongtian, the Dragon King of Ghost Gate, and others as Senior Sha when he saw them. This title is actually just a casual remark and should not be taken seriously. Chiu Qinren was able to carry forward the Iron Palm Gang in just a dozen years. His talent and level of dealing with people are naturally the best. After greeting Hong Qigong, he praised Nan Ziren and even Mu Nianzi. Only then did he welcome the 3 into the gang. In fact, with the reputation of the Jiangnan 7 freaks in the martial arts world, they are not qualified to compete with Chiu Qinren. But the identity of the elder of the Beggars sect is different. Chiu Qinren had heard of the Jiangnan 7 freaks before, but they were just minor characters with ordinary kung fu. And there has been no news in the past 10 years. At this moment, seeing Nan Ziren's tall stature, full of energy, and his steps are powerful, I know he is a good opponent. During the greetings, I couldn't help but feel suspicious. It is said that hearing about a person is not as good as meeting him, but this person's strength and fame are too far apart. No wonder he can become an elder of the Beggars sect. Could it be that the Jiangnan 7 freaks have had some adventures in these years? I have to send someone to investigate. Magic Planet online game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1005. Coming to the reception room of the Iron Palm Gang, Hong Kigong naturally talked with Chiu Qinren about the deeds of the previous leader Shang Guanjianese. Xiaoming had read the original novel and had some impression of this person. He was originally a general under the famous anti-Jin general Han Shizhong. After Han Shizhong was deprived of his military power, the soldiers all returned to the fields. Shang Guanjianese was unwilling to give up, and took a group of brothers to become bandits in the Jingxiang area. Later, he joined the Iron Palm Gang and became the leader. Under his rectification, the Iron Palm Gang was chivalrous and famous, attracting many heroes nearby to join. Gradually, its momentum was no less than that of the Beggars Gang. He learned that Yu Fei's relic Wu Mu's last book was in the palace, so he went to steal it. In order to prevent Yu Fei's descendants from not finding the book in the palace, he also left a painting on the spot, hiding the clues to find Wu Mu's last book. Later, Shang Guanjianese summoned the heroes and planned to go north to fight against the Jin. Unexpectedly, the Southern Song dynasty sent troops to suppress the Iron Palm Gang, which was almost destroyed, and Shang Guanjianese was seriously injured and died. The current leader of the Iron Palm Gang, Chiu Qinren, is a disciple of Shang Guanjianese. After the court's suppression, he gathered the remaining disciples and re-established the Iron Palm Gang. Perhaps frightened by the court's suppression, Chiu Qinren's style is completely different from his master. The Iron Palm Gang has also become a martial arts sect that only knows how to fight and kill, and fight for fame and fortune. At this time, Chiu Qinren had not been recruited by Wanyan Hongli. As the leader of the Iron Palm Gang, Shang Guanjianese's disciple. Hearing that Hong Kigong, one of the top masters in the Central Plains, praised his master so much, he was still very happy. Although Chiu Qinren did not agree with Hong Kigong and his master's ambitions at all, and even felt bored. But being praised like this, he still felt good in his heart. As the saying goes, don't hit a smiling person, so he let go of most of his vigilance. You should know that Wang Chongyang also invited Chiu Qinren to the last Huashan sword contest. This shows that his martial arts skills are so high that Wang Chongyang has paid attention to him. However, Chiu Qinren felt that his Iron Palm skills were not yet perfect, so he didn't dare to participate. He was fully prepared to make a splash in the second Huashan sword contest. Here we can also see the difference between Chiu Qinren and Hong Kigong. At the first Huashan sword contest, Hong Kigong's 18 dragon subduing palms had not yet been practiced. But Hong Kigong did not hide like Chiu Qinren, and still participated in the Huashan sword contest. And won the title of the 5 Wonders of the Central Plains. Huashan sword contest, the central god Wang Chongyang, the east evil Huang Yaoshi, the west poison Wang Feng, the south emperor Duan's Hixing, and the north beggar Hong Kigong. The 5 people talked and fought in the snow for 7 days and 7 nights. Wang Chongyang was regarded as the best in the world. In fact, being able to exchange, communicate, and verify with 4 top masters who are similar to himself is of great help to his own martial arts. Perhaps, what Chiu Qinren lacks compared to Hong Kigong and the other 4 is just such an exchange event. He has been working behind closed doors all along, seemingly not revealing his martial arts foundation, but in fact he lacks the process of practice. Practice makes true knowledge come out. Of course, no matter what, he can't compare with Wang Chongyang. That person's martial arts realm has far exceeded others. Today, the North beggar Hong Kigong suddenly came to visit, and brought a very strong master. When Chiu Qinren met, his heart tightened. Judging from himself, he thought that Hong Kigong came to him in order to win the second Huashan sword contest and planned to eliminate an opponent in advance. If Hong Kigong proposed a martial arts competition, Chiu Qinren could not refuse according to the rules of the rivers and lakes. The other party might kill him. If it was a group fight, his gang members might not be the opponent of the elder Nanziren. What if he can't win? It seems that the only way to escape this disaster is to claim illness and not fight. But if he does that, the Iron Palm gang will lose face. Chukinran's heart is like 15 buckets of water, up and down, extremely nervous. As a result, after chatting for a few words, he found that the leader of the beggar gang was not right. It seems that he has no intention of fighting at all. He really just brought a new elder to visit the mountain, probably to help Nanziran's reputation in the world. This is easy to deal with. Chukinran and the Iron Palm gang's attitude towards the three beggar gang members immediately took a 180-degree turn. From the previous cautious vigilance, it became the next warm hospitality. The subtext is that as long as you are not here to fight, everything can be discussed. Fortunately, before Xiaoming and others went up the mountain, they thought that everyone was a martial artist, and they were so famous, and there would be a fight between Hong and Qiu. Never expected that this Chukinran was so cowardly. Hong Kigong observed the expressions and did not ask for a fight. Iron Palm Peak was originally a scenic spot, and the locals called it Monkey Claw Mountain. In the past, there were tourists coming to play all year round. Since the Iron Palm gang occupied this place, ordinary people dared not come here anymore. Only those dignitaries who the Iron Palm gang could not afford to offend dared to come here. The famous northern beggar came today, but he was not here to fight. This is a great opportunity to make the Iron Palm gang look good. Chukinran personally accompanied them and invited them to stay for a few more days and have a good time in the mountains. This suggestion was exactly what the three wanted. Hong Kigong made a slight excuse and agreed. That night, in Hong Kigong's room, after carefully checking that there was no eavesdropping mechanism, Nanziran asked his gang leader what he thought of Chukinran. Hong Kigong shook his head and sighed. He thought that Shang Guanjian's disciples would inherit the old gang leader's will and would also take it as their responsibility to protect Song and resist Jin. Previously, the rumors about the Iron Palm gang in the Jianghu were probably just hearsay, or maybe Chukinran had learned his lesson and used this method to cover up his mistakes. Now, although Chukinran did not say it explicitly, his tone and expression showed that he had complaints about the former leader. If Master Shang Guanjianese had not fought against the Jin dynasty, he would not have been besieged by the imperial court, and the Iron Palm gang would have been even stronger now. Maybe it would have surpassed the beggars' sect. Chukinran's idea could not even be said to be wrong. After all, it was the southern Song dynasty that betrayed the Iron Palm gang first. This was also the reason why Chukinran was recruited by Wanyan Hongli later. The imperial court was flattering the Jin kingdom, so why should it demand more from the Jianghu people? Hong Kigong originally held a glimmer of hope. If Chukinran was also a fellow traveler, he could have invited him to join the Jin Yuanbao plan. The three of them would not have to be thieves. In fact, Hong Kigong was still thinking too well. You should know that the place where Wu Mu's testament is located is the forbidden area of the Iron Palm gang. Even if Chukinran agrees to join, we can't enter the forbidden area, which is not easy to deal with. Now it's all right. Hong Kigong agreed to let Xiaoming go to steal the book. However, the Iron Palm gang is too warm and hospitable, and there are always people accompanying them. For a while, there was no opportunity to start. Thanks to Ziludumo for the reward. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1006. It is said that you are not afraid of thieves stealing, but you are afraid of thieves thinking about it. Since Xiaoming has been thinking about Wu Mu's testament, the final result is inevitable. Hong Kigong, Nanziran, and Mu Nianzi played in Taizang Peak for a few days, and then Chukinran invited the three to visit several medium-sized sects and gangs nearby. I remember that a master from Xiaoming's family once said, Jianghu is not about fighting and killing, but about human relationships and worldly affairs. It is not easy to deal with it, and it is absolutely impossible to understand it all. Several medium-sized sects, whether the Beggars sect or the Iron Palm sect, are not really taken seriously, but they still have to visit, go through the motions, and say that they have long admired each other. As the leader of the Northern Beggars sect, Hong Kigong does not care about how he wants to play if he does not come to the surface. But since he has shown up in the Iron Palm gang, if he does not go to other sects and gangs, it means that he looks down on them. If this reputation of following the popular and stepping on the unpopular, bullying the weak and fearing the strong spreads, it will not be good for the reputation of the Beggars sect and Hong Kigong. These medium-sized sects can gain a foothold near the Iron Palm gang, on the one hand because they have their own strength, and on the other hand because they have a good relationship with the Iron Palm gang. Hong Kigong and Chiukinren, the leaders of the two major gangs in the north and south, came to visit together. This is a move to make the Beggars sect and the Iron Palm gang famous, and it is actually more beneficial to those who are visited. Therefore, wherever they go, they are warmly welcomed. The visit of the Northern Beggar is something that can be used to brag about for the rest of their lives. Even children and grandchildren can continue to brag. Do you know that when the Northern Beggar, one of the 5 great masters of the Central Plains, came to Jingxiang, he also came to visit my grandfather. Hong Kigong and Nanziren considered that they would need to contact the forces in the rivers and lakes to fight against the Jin in the future. There is no harm in making friends with these people now, maybe they will be comrades in the future. Therefore, they are not opposed to this kind of visiting behavior. Of course, in this process, you will occasionally encounter some blind guys. The martial arts world is like this. There are always some rising stars who feel very good about themselves after learning some mediocre kung fu. They just want to step on the reputation of their predecessors to get to the top. They are so stupid that they don't even take the world-famous 5 wonders of the Central Plains seriously. There is no chance at ordinary times, but this time, the Northern Beggar Hong Kigong came to him, which is a godsend. When a certain sect was a guest, the sect invited famous people from the local martial arts world to accompany him. One of them had this idea and directly stood up to challenge Hong Kigong. Hong Kigong, Chiukinren, and Nanziren took a quick look and knew that this person's martial arts was really average, which was the middle level of the previous Jiangnan 7 freaks, and was not as good as Cajun Wu. The 3 of them laughed dumbly. In this situation, Nanziren naturally took the fight. There was no need to use the 18 dragon subduing palms to deal with him. Xiaoming grabbed a handful of peanuts as a snack and stood there without moving at all. Xiaoming could handle it sitting on a chair, but at least he had to give him a little face. A dozen peanuts were ejected, and the guy was convinced. Yes, orally means that the guy was forced to eat several peanuts. He was so ashamed that he covered his face and left. During the few days of the trip, Xiaoming treated 3 challengers to eat peanuts. Since then, no one has challenged him again. Xiaoming was also strange. The first time he had peanuts on hand was a coincidence. Unexpectedly, no matter which sect or school he visited in the future, everyone seemed to have agreed to prepare peanuts for them. This reputation might be distorted if it spread out. I wonder if the world will change his name from Nanshan Kiazi to a waiter, or a peanut shell. Xiaoming's worries are not mentioned for the time being. After they ran around for a few days and returned to Iron Palm Peak, the Iron Palm gang completely relaxed their vigilance against the few people. That night, Xiaoming found an opportunity to sneak into the forbidden area of the Iron Palm gang, the second knuckle of the Middle Finger Peak, a hidden cave. Xiaoming looked carefully, but unfortunately he did not meet Qiu Qianzhang in the cave. Xiaoming still has plans for him, so he will find another opportunity later. There are more than 10 skeletons in the cave, all of which are the successive leaders of the Iron Palm gang. Next to each skeleton are weapons, hidden weapons, tools, treasures and other items. Although Xiaoming felt it was a bit wasteful, he still did not move. He only found the wooden box with breaking gold essentials and took out the Wu Mu's testament. Xiaoming still remembered that if he pulled the box, the skeleton would fall. This should be the former leader of the Iron Palm gang Shangwen Jianese. He is a hero worthy of admiration, and Xiaoming does not want his skeleton to be broken. So he first supported the skeleton steadily before taking the wooden box. There were 2 books in the box, one thin and one thick. The thick one is Wu Mu's last letter. The thin one records Yufei's memorials, petitions, inscriptions, letters, and poems over the years. In this era, anything related to Yufei may be suppressed by the Southern Song dynasty. Xiaoming did not intend to publicize it immediately. He just wanted to find a good destination for these 2 books. After obtaining Wu Mu's last letter, the 3 stayed for 2 more days before leaving the Iron Palm gang. All the way back to the headquarters of the beggar gang. During this period, in addition to practicing martial arts every day, Xiaoming arranged for Mu Nianzi to copy Wu Mu's last letter. He originally planned to copy the other booklet. Later, he found that it was not possible. There were some words in it that he did not recognize, and he was not used to writing calligraphy. He simply pushed it all to his apprentice. After being together for so long, Mu Nianzi basically understood her master's lazy temperament. She smiled bitterly helplessly, but she still had to work obediently. Mu Nianzi didn't really understand how precious it was to be taught the superior inner strength and longevity secret by Nan Ziren. But seeing the reaction of the northern beggar Hong Kigong, she knew that she had definitely picked up a treasure. Her heart and character were kind, and she knew how to be grateful. She took care of Nan Ziren meticulously along the way. It really helped a lot. You know, since Xiaoming's source energy was developed, he doesn't need to eat, drink, defecate, urinate, or sleep, and his body has always been protected by various supernatural energies, and no dust can fall on it. Ordinary people's life can be said to be far away from him. However, in the martial arts planet game, although the game greatly simplifies the various needs of humans, 3 meals a day still need to be eaten, and clothes still need to be changed and washed. Xiaoming often forgets these things. It all depends on his good apprentice Mu Nianzi to help him think about and take care of them every day. Otherwise, Nan Ziren, the elder of the clean clothes sect, will become the elder of the dirty clothes sect in less than half a month. Carat omega carat, equals rightward arrow in that case, perhaps Hong Kigong and Liu Jiao will be very happy. This trip to steal books from Iron Palm Peak lasted more than 10 days, and several days also passed outside the game. On September 3rd, when Hong Xiaoming appeared in the world as a god, the 3 were on their way back to the headquarters of the Beggars section. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1007. September 3rd is a great day. Xiaoming regards this time as a node for many things. Previously, the intelligent program Xiaoer, Xiaosan, Xiaosi, and Xiao temporarily borrowed Xiaoming's 4 characters in the main game of Magic Planet to play. It was agreed that for a month, Xiaoming was not allowed to interfere, and they could do whatever they wanted. By the 3rd, it's basically the day. Xiaoming took back the power of the game. I originally planned to come in and play casually when I have some free time. It doesn't matter who logs into the game. Xiaoming is already gearing up. I really don't know what those 4 naughty kids will do with their characters. I really felt a little uneasy. Unfortunately, the game is not available yet. In the event of an emergency, Miss Ninth, who is crying at the door of the house, must not be ignored. Although it's okay to pretend that you can't get out yet. Everyone else can understand Xiaoming's current situation. However, the little loli definitely doesn't understand. If she doesn't show up quickly, I'm afraid it will take 100 times more effort to coax her out. Otherwise, just wait to break up the relationship. Xiaoming is not willing to break up with Li Songrui yet. In desperation, Hong Xiaoming's soul returned to the underworld and accepted the transformation of the soul gem on Yin Xiaoming's behalf. Yin Xiaoming hurried home. Please be assured that the construction of the divine base within Kunlun will not be delayed. Although Kunlun cannot be opened in the underworld, there is no problem with remote control. There's just one small complication. That is, now that Hong Xiaoming is not on Quafu Star, he cannot accept the light spirits who are gathering one after another into Kunlun. But this is just a small problem, let them gather for a while first. Just ask Lu Xiaoming to take care of you occasionally. Hong Xiaoming can return to Quafu Star for a while to receive the light spirit. You can come here every now and then. You're back. How are you? How many clones have you made? Which stage have you reached now? Impermanence or judge? Have you seen Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva? What does he look like? As soon as Yin Xiaoming returned to his body, he was bombarded with a series of questions from He Vuchang. I can't see this guy being so nosy. Even He Vuchang and Zhang Chen don't know that Xiaoming has multiple souls. So as soon as he came back, He Vuchang thought that his interview had been completed. And he regarded his original body as the first ghost clone. Many prefectural civil servants do this. Unless that civil servant is selected from a ghost, then there are no ready-made bodies available. However, since he has become a ghost, it means that he is dead. Things in the real world have little to do with him. Tisk, how should I put it? I actually haven't finished the interview yet. Part of my soul is still in the underworld. Xiaoming didn't really want to deceive his future colleagues, so he could only say this vaguely. As for Ksatagarbha Bodhisattva being the beautiful woman Acha, Xiaoming did not have the guts to reveal it. Although the situation described by Xiaoming is a bit strange, He Vuchang has seen enough strange things in the past hundreds of years, so he will not be surprised. These days, he has been protecting Xiaoming's body. Of course I knew at this time that there was a little girl from the Li family outside knocking on the door looking for someone. However, as He Vuchang, he was unable and unwilling to contact the living casually, so he could only pretend not to know. He Vuchang couldn't bear to hear Li Songrui crying sadly. I was still thinking about whether I should send a message to Hades and inform him. Unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, Zhang Xiaoming himself came back. Originally, as a senior civil servant in the underworld, he had a lot of things to say to his juniors. This situation is not suitable anymore. He Wuchang pointed outside the door, showed a wicked smile, turned around and disappeared. This time Xiaoming could feel that this guy had returned to the underworld. I haven't seen Miss Ju for a long time. How should I face her? How should I explain why I didn't open the door just now? At this time, a man's voice came from outside the door. Don't get me wrong, in this era, the sound insulation effect of doors is not so bad. He could hear it entirely because, even if Xiaoming didn't use any of his abilities now, the range of the induction was already quite large. Everything outside the door is clearly felt. Jumei, good sister, it's not that your leader brother has ignored you. He is in a special situation now and is at a critical point in his cultivation. Hey. Why is the barrier gone? What? Li Songrui jumped up and ignored what this person said before, only hearing the last sentence. Immediately afterwards, the door opened inward, and a young man covered in golden armor appeared in front of several people. Brother the leader. Pi Sigma Upsilon Xi Tau Eta Kappa. Little Loli recognized the leader brother at a glance. He yelled and jumped on Xiaoming. He didn't care whether the golden holy clothes were hard or not, and buried his head in it. He was mumbling and didn't know what he was talking about. At this time, nothing will work. Xiaoming had no choice but to hug the little Loli and comfort her in every possible way. The two young men at the door had their faces full of apology and shock. Miraculously, only the man with the sword on his back is here in person, the other one is using a holographic projection. Above the projection, there is a disc-shaped, floating projector. Xiaoming has seen this projection person before. Isn't this Chang Sun Chong of the Tang dynasty? Li Songrui usually calls him fifth brother. The last time I saw him was when Xiaoming's strength was tested by all parties. At that time, there were 2 aircrafts in the air observing, and Zhao Yongmeng, Mengan, and Chang Sun Chong all appeared in them. As for the man with the sword on his back, Xiaoming had never seen him. It can be seen that this person's strength is the same as that of Datang Chang Sun Chong, both of whom are B-level reincarnations. In fact, Xiaoming also felt a lot of other people on the periphery. I think they are all bodyguards of the Li family. The 9th lady of the Li family seems to be worthy of such a pomp. Xiaoming held the little lowly in both hands, summoned a uniform-made beast, and entertained the man and the projector outside into the house. After a long time, the little lowly was probably coaxed. She was buried by a pile of spiritual fruits around her body, and she was almost invisible. She was eating there, grumbling and grumbling, completely ignoring what others were talking about. Xiaoming only then knew that Datang Chang Sun Chong's name in reality was Long Wu. He was a subordinate of the Li family. In fact, except for not having the right of inheritance, he was basically the same as the family members of the Li family. Even many people in the Li family are not as powerful as him. In addition, this person who I met for the first time has a bigger background. He is the elder brother of Li Songrui and Li Qingzhao, the 3rd son of the Li family, Li Anhao. He should be one of the most popular successors in the Li family, with great power, and Long Wu is his direct subordinate. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1008. Don't look at it, the Li family has already let the 9th lady Li Songrui and the 6th lady Li Qingzhao appear directly in front of Zhang Xiaoming. However, for the sake of caution, the 3rd young master of the Li family has never met Xiaoming. Moreover, if Zhang Xiaoming had not accepted the interview of the underworld and was about to become a ghost messenger of the underworld, the 3rd young master would never appear in person. As one of the successors of the next generation of the Li family, his safety can be said to be extremely important. The Li family will not, and dare not, let him take such a risk. Although, from the past performance, this Zhang Xiaoming should be harmless to his side. But you can't know a person's heart by knowing his face. A newcomer who has only known him for more than 2 months is far from being trustworthy. Until the S-level master, the zombie ancestor Zhang Shizu, spread the gossip. Zhang Xiaoming has obtained the interview qualification of the underworld. The 3rd young master was allowed by the family to appear in front of Xiaoming. He has long wanted to meet the person who robbed his 9th sister. This heavy news caused a great uproar in the circle of the top forces on Pangu Star. I said it at the beginning, this kid was favored by the Immortal Gate, and he has a great undead magic, which shows that he is not an ordinary person. What's the matter, what's the matter, it's all true. He is the seedling of the ghost messenger in the underworld. Isn't it really fragrant? I remember that you were not so. Stop. You remembered it wrong. Hey, look at yourself, did you drop something? Is this XXX yours? Why are you so careless? That's right, you are honest and upright. Big Brother's character is really strong. Just like your vision. Many people put on a Zhujiang style to point out the country and talk a lot, but unfortunately it was all after the fact. Some people who were exposed had to spend money to avoid disaster. In fact, due to their different strengths and positions, each force has different reactions to this matter. The top forces, such as the 12 kings of the Qin dynasty, and forces with similar strengths. They all remained silent on this. It didn't matter to them what Zhang Xiaoming's identity was. Pangu Star would not be a big deal if there was one more master, nor would it be a big deal if there was one less master. Similarly, even if Xiaoming passed the interview and became a civil servant in the underworld, this world would not be a big deal if there was one more ghost messenger, nor would it be a big deal if there was one less ghost messenger. The immortal sect behind Zhang Xiaoming would not undergo any substantial changes just because a disciple became a ghost messenger. Who doesn't know a few ghost messengers, one or two impermanents, and even the judge has met. The two sides should still contact each other as they should. Before this, the top leaders of more than half of the families of the 12 kings had not even read Zhang Xiaoming's personal information. The cards were still not good enough. Instead, the forces at a slightly lower level were sighing. Before this, they had coveted Zhang Xiaoming and the sect behind him. Zhang Xiaoming's undead magic was quite outstanding, especially on Nuwa Star. After the Qingkai base incident, in their eyes, Zhang Xiaoming was a strategic level weapon. Although the various forces still don't understand what kind of magic Death Harvest is, the magic that can shock the natives of Nuwa Star is worthy of everyone's attention. You know, the Yanhuang 3-star system is the area where magic flourishes. In terms of magic attainments, the natives of Nuwa Star are more authoritative. What they value must be good things. At the very least, the major forces also want to find out what is going on. Of course, no one took action rashly. After all, Zhang Xiaoming is now being closely watched by various forces, and everyone needs to sit down and discuss the issue of interest distribution. Unexpectedly, the distribution plan has not been negotiated yet. No, it should be said that everyone is still in the process of preparing for negotiations, and the overall tone of this matter has suddenly changed 180 degrees. Zhang Xiaoming was chosen by the Bei's Hangcliffe forces and has begun an interview. After his interview, he will at least be a ghost messenger in the underworld. Can't afford to provoke. It seems that this Zhang should have been tested by the underworld in his previous life, or even in his previous life. No wonder he was favored by the immortal section. Maybe he had already entered the immortal sect in his previous lives? The forces on Pangu Star were completely late to realize it. With such vision and means, the sect behind Zhang Xiaoming might be able to stand on equal footing with the 12 kings. Some people may ask, it's just a ghost messenger, even if he is promoted to the level of Vuchain, it's just a B-level combat power. Do these big forces have to be so afraid? The answer is of course yes. This is determined by the nature of the civil servants in the underworld. Although the underworld took the name of Byzantia to pretend to be an ordinary sect in order to be close to the people. But if the universe is regarded as a country, the three families of Wanbakian are actually government agencies. Separation of powers. Their behavioral principles are equivalent to the so-called heavenly way. In fact, it is the personality of each infinite gem. The civil servants of the three families of heaven, underworld, and dragon palace are equivalent to heavenly soldiers and generals, or gods. Only a small part of their strength is determined by their personal talent and cultivation level, more comes from merit. The more you do for the infinity stones, the more benefits you will get. According to Xiaoming's understanding, the so-called merit is basically the same as the score in the reincarnation space. The civil servants of these three companies are responsible for realizing the will of heaven. However, these heavenly soldiers and generals are much more reliable than the government civil servants on Pangu Star. Although they can have a little selfishness, and even slightly and temporarily distort the meaning of the heavenly Deo, the so-called flexibility. But in general, they must strictly follow the instructions of the heavenly Deo. It is absolutely impossible to modify the rules of the heavenly Deo or distort the instructions of the heavenly Deo on a large scale. Because the power of all civil servants comes from the heavenly Deo, that is, the infinity gems. Once a civil servant deviates too much from the personality of the infinity gems, the gems will immediately take back the power given to him and return him to his original form. Under this kind of gameplay, which civil servant dares to violate the rules of the heavenly Deo? That's why it is said that they are almost all quite reliable. At the same time, as long as they are civil servants. They will definitely be protected by their bosses. That is, the protection of the Infinity Gems. Persecuting civil servants in the underworld who have not made mistakes will inevitably be punished by the underworld, which is an extremely depleting thing. Do you still want to be well in the next life? Therefore, after it has been confirmed that Jiang Xiaoming has become a ghost messenger in the underworld, any force or person who is not a brain-dead person is unlikely to do anything to him. Similarly, since Jiang Xiaoming cannot violate the rules of the underworld, the Li family has no worries that he will do something bad to their third young master. It is very safe. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1009. Seeing Jiang Xiaoming wearing the Cancer Gold cloth, recalling the description of the Cancer Gold Saint in the intelligence, the third young master and Long Wu seemed to understand something. According to the latest news, Jiang Xiaoming has been practicing in the Greek sanctuary of the First Maiden Palace since he entered the world of Saint Seiya. Now it seems that the training should be related to the underworld, souls, and other such tricks. And the fighting methods of the Cancer Gold Saint are mostly related to the underworld. This may be the reason why Jiang Xiaoming later obtained the Cancer Gold cloth. In terms of time, if he wants to stay in the reincarnation world until the sanctuary attacks the underworld, he needs to consume a lot of task cards. You know, the rules of the reincarnation space are all the same. The consumption of task cards will also accumulate and increase. The first task only requires one card, the second one requires twice, and so on. To be able to let Xiaoming stay for so long, the sect behind him is really rich. And Jiang Xiaoming is also confident enough, otherwise if he can't get the Gold Saint cloth, the price will be too high. No, it can't be this stupid method. Maybe their sect has special abilities that allow them to stay in the reincarnation world for a longer period of time, which makes sense. And it is precisely because Jiang Xiaoming got the Cancer Gold cloth that the underworld immediately interviewed him. Now the logic chain is complete. As the first person to see Xiaoming's gold cloth, the third young master thought he had made a reasonable guess. It's not too far from the truth, right? When Xiaoming opened the door, he didn't use the barrier. Not only the third young master and Long Wu saw it, but many people in charge of observation around him also saw it. They basically came to the same conclusion as the third young master. Even if their intelligence was insufficient and they only saw the Cancer Gold cloth, they could probably connect it with the underworld. This is the purpose of Xiaoming wearing this holy cloth, to meet people. Give them a reasonable guess direction, so that they don't have to explain it in the future. Today, the third young master came with the ninth sister. Long Wu had something important to do and it was inconvenient for him to come, so he could only use a stereo projector. They didn't expect to see Jiang Xiaoming. After all, the chance that Jiang Xiaoming would complete the interview today is very low. But since we have met, we should not waste the opportunity. The two of them reached some consensus with Jiang Xiaoming on behalf of the Li family. The first important thing is to confirm whether the sect behind Jiang Xiaoming still trains talents for other forces every year. That is to give the designated candidates the seeds of supernatural energy. This is what everyone is concerned about. Although except for the first transaction of the Li family, other forces have not paid Xiaoming yet. But they have reached several deals with each other in order to arrange the order or change the order. If Xiaoming suddenly stops this matter because he becomes a ghost messenger, then the major forces really don't know what to do. This mess is a bit hard to calculate. Fortunately, the worst situation did not happen. The transaction will continue. It's just that Xiaoming secretly complained in his heart that he didn't say once a year. This frequency is completely the self-righteousness of all forces. But Xiaoming has no intention of changing it. The second thing is the Li family's own business. That is, the transaction of fruits rich in spiritual energy. These fruits have helped the Li family a lot, even many elders have become addicted to them. Such good things are rare. However, before they could ask about this matter, Xiaoming took out a large pile of fruits and buried the little loli. This clearly meant to continue the transaction. If they could get such a pile of fruits every month or so, well, then the Li family would probably be in trouble. They must sell more than half of them at a premium to balance with the major forces of the new Han Kingdom. Eating alone will be punished. And the things that the Li family used to exchange this time also reflected their sincerity. The last time they exchanged, the Li family gave 3 treasures, Hiran Meru, Sherinan and Hana fruit, all of which were incomplete versions. If it were someone else, they would exchange other things. But this time, the Li family took out an upgraded version of one of the items, Mangekyo Sherinan. However, this Sherinan has not been certified by the reincarnation space and is a smuggled item. According to the seller, the ability of this eye is Amaterasu. That is the ability of Uchiha attack his other eye. Amaterasu is the most advanced fire escape ninjutsu, and the black flames it releases are said to never go out until the target is completely burned. The Li family took out the upgraded version of the treasure they had given before, which was really thoughtful. Didn't they say they didn't plan to meet Zhang Xiaoming today? Why did they carry the trading items with them? In fact, they didn't carry them with them. Because the third young master has a special identity, he can take some things out of the Li family's warehouse remotely. The transaction can be carried out. There is another problem. Why doesn't the Li family use such a good thing? The truth is, they can't afford it. The Mangekyo Sherinan consumes too much for the reincarnation. And the more powerful the eye is, the more it consumes the reincarnation when it is used. Especially this kind of smuggled item that has not been certified by the space. The consumption on the host is more intense. The Mangekyo Sherinan that can use Amaterasu brings such a great burden to people that it is almost unimaginable. If it is authenticated by the space will limit the number of times the eyes can be used and the cooling time to ensure that the life of the reincarnator will not be harmed. However, unofficially certified items do not receive this treatment. If the reincarnator himself is not careful, he may be disabled after just a few uses. It can range from blindness to death. There are still a dozen reincarnations in the Li family who possess the 3 Megatama Sherinan. But no one wanted something so tough. There are many ways to become stronger in the reincarnation space. At the height of the Li family, there is really no need to use such extreme methods to strengthen. It was because the Mangekyo Sherinan was a contraband that the Li family was willing to exchange it with Xiaoming for the spiritual energy fruit. If it is space certified, even if it is exchanged, Xiaoming will have to pay at least several times the fruit. Xiaoming would not give this eye to Brother Wen. His current zombie body simply couldn't handle it. Since he is a member of Mingjing's team, his height is no less than that of the Li family. Xiaoming will naturally find a more suitable way to strengthen Zhang Wen. Not to mention anything else, the drop of the general's essence and blood prepared for Fatty is still safely kept in Guangmingding by Xiaoming. After Brother Wen digests this drop of blood essence, he should be able to become an A-level zombie. You should be able to withstand the Mangekyo Sherinan by then. Of course, it is impossible to keep this eye until then. Xiaoming turned his hand through Kunlun, and when it came into Lu Xiaoming's hand, it was directly absorbed and fused. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1010. Today is September 1st, the day the auction begins. The Phantom Troop has just blood-bathed the auction venue. Number 1? Isn't today September 3rd? Oh, I'm sorry, I got it mixed up. Hee hee. Ha ha ha, that's the date in the game. Brother Leader, you are so stupid. Mr. Leader, as the captain of a reincarnation team, how about you command this operation? The three of us will listen to you. Yeah. I promise to be obedient. Where are you, third brother? That's okay with me. It's up to you, leader. Let me go. Are you trying to catch a duck? Aren't you afraid that I will screw it up? Hee hee. LLL Omega. The above conversation took place in the Magic Planet game Full-Time Hunter Secret Realm. They use their own game storage. I have to say that the Li family is really good at playing. Xiaoming just developed a kind of telekinesis ability that allows him to play games at any time. The third young master of the Li family took the game warehouse with him. And I brought several with me. He actually didn't play Magic Planet before. Recently, due to the introduction of Longwu, I have become a little interested. However, his interest is not in the main game where you can upgrade and add points, but in the secret realm where you need to rely on your strength. Some time ago, he cooperated with Longwu to push the progress of Full-Time Hunter. It happens to be the stage of the plot where the Phantom Troop is causing trouble in Yukizan City. A few minutes ago, Miss Ninth, who was full of fruit and a little bored, shouted that she wanted to play black and white games with her three brothers. Although Miss Ninth prefers the main game, young Master 3 has never entered the main game. Moreover, in the main game, it is difficult for everyone to get together in a short time. It is most convenient to enter the secret realm only by forming a team. The third young master and Longwu's holographic projections looked at each other and took out the secret realm of the Full-Time Hunter and their progress. The plotline of Yukizan City, which has just begun, is very suitable for the situation of these people. Longwu is in the secret realm to obtain an extremely useful telekinesis ability. The third young master is here to meet masters from all walks of life and help Longwu by the way. Li Songrui had just finished his family's special training, his strength had skyrocketed, and he was just about to show off his skills. At the same time, these people also wanted to see Zhang Xiaoming's combat effectiveness. It can be said that it accomplishes multiple things with one stone. And very coincidentally, Xiaoming's progress in the secret realm is similar, just a little slower than the two of them. In this case, using some of the permissions owned by the Li family, the four of them can be brought together. The plots of both parties can also be integrated as appropriate. So four people appeared in the secret realm of the Full-Time Hunter at the same time. Xiaoming's role is still that young boy from a small mountain village. He was originally a trainee butler recruited by Wutong, the chief butler of the Hakka family. In order to protect Master Killua, he participated in the hunter exam. During this period, Xiaoming opened the seeds of telepathy for the four-person protagonist group. I received a good deed. Later, Xiaoming was selected by Nitro as his apprentice and learned the mind power cultivation method of Shinjin Ryu. In the Hakka family, his identity also became the guest minister. Later, in the Sky Arena, Xiaoming met the protagonist Gon Killua again and taught Hisoka a lesson. After that, Xiaoming stopped advancing the plot. Longwu's entry point was different from Xiaoming's. Out of his understanding of the plot, he and the third young master took the route of the Nisla gang. The two of them, Kurapika, Melody and others, joined the Nisla gang at the same time. Nyan Nisla, the eldest lady responsible for protecting the gang, participated in the underground auction in Yuksan City. The 10 old men are the 10 top leaders of the gangs in the world of Hunter. They are the gang leaders of 10 regions in 6 continents. They meet with each other from time to time. They are the organizers of underground auctions and have thousands of gangsters. The strongest among them is the Yin Beast, a group of 10 people with telekinesis. Niang's father Letnisla's status has not yet reached the level of the 10 old men, and he can only be regarded as a gangster with some strength. The father and daughter like to collect strange human organs. This underground auction is a rare opportunity, so they naturally want to participate. The third young master, Longwu, and Zhang Xiaoming all knew that all members of the Phantom Troop would appear in Yukizan City. Long Wu had another purpose, but the third young master and Zhang Xiaoming both came for the Phantom Troop. The third young master knew that there were many masters in the brigade and wanted to test his strength with them. Xiaoming, on the other hand, has encountered cosplayers from the Phantom Troop many times in the world of reincarnation, and is really curious about the troop. Previously, Xiaoming had learned about the Phantom Troop from many aspects. It can be roughly concluded that these guys are not good people. He is a character who does many evil things and can definitely be killed. The race that Kurapika comes from is called the Kuruta clan. This clan lives in seclusion in the deep mountains and old forests, and has nothing to do with the world. The eyes of this tribe are usually close to brown. When they are emotional, their pupils will turn crimson, which is known as one of the 7 most beautiful colors in the world. In order to seize the fiery eye, the Phantom Troop massacred the entire Koluta clan. Only young Kurapika escaped by chance. The purpose of Kurapika's life now is to destroy the Phantom Troop, and also to get back the eyes that were taken away from all his compatriots. The Phantom Troop has no regard for life and shows no mercy when killing innocent humans. Even if there is no need, he will kill people. It can be said that they are the type of people that Xiaoming hates the most. Although, this group of people is quite individual and charismatic. Otherwise, there would not be so many admirers among the reincarnations. But this is not enough for Xiaoming to let them go. In general, there is no essential conflict between Xiaoming's plotline and Longwu's plotline. The system only needs to slightly increase the combat effectiveness of the 4 protagonists to justify itself. After entering the secret realm, the main plot naturally follows Longwu's progress. Today, some members of the Phantom Troop slaughtered all the participants in the auction venue. No staff or guests were left. Then they left in a hot air balloon. Since each buyer is only allowed to enter the auction venue with 3 people, there are a large number of gangsters gathered around the venue at this time, waiting for their boss to come out. Soon everyone found that the situation was not right, and they chased the hot air balloon with the organizer's security personnel on the periphery. For some reason, the boss of the Nisra gang and his daughter did not come, let alone enter the auction venue. The 3 colleagues of Kurapika who died inside were Feiji, Yuwalianfu, and Chachimano Dakino. They are all non-users, and they are as vulnerable as ordinary people in front of the masters of the Phantom Troop. After Xiaoming and his 4 companions entered, Longwu and San Xiaoye were still hired by the gang. Xiaoming and Li Songrui were their friends and took the initiative to help. This situation would definitely arouse suspicion in reality, but this is a game, and the system made some arrangements, and the NPCs happily accepted it. Even Kurapika took a break from his busy schedule to chat with Xiaoming's character Mutio Yu.